Natalie from Books-n-Kisses and Viviana from Enchantress of Books, and we are bringing to you for our audio book loving series, Sharon Hamilton and JD Hart. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So tell us how it is for the author and the narrator to work together. What is your working relationship like?
Well,
You first.
Okay.
Ladies first.
It's wonderful, first of all. It's something that I could not have imagined. I had no idea when I wrote books and when I was approached to do audiobooks that it would be this kind of an experience. Nobody told me, or what I heard about it didn't even do it justice. Now, I happened to meet JD by accident, really. I mean, I picked him out of a group, and I think it was divine.
Not true. I stalked her for 4 years before she would listen to
no,
me.
Wait a minute. We can't tell him that story. But no, anyway, we just hit it off very well. And I think the most important thing that we've developed is a really close, good friendship. And also, we understand each other and we communicate. We're not afraid to tell the truth. And that's hard, in this business sometimes. And especially since he had never read romance and I had never directed a narrator and I wasn't sure what I wanted. But what I did want was his voice. And when I heard that voice, I went, oh my gosh, that's it. That's him. That's my hero. That's my Kyle, my first one. And the truth is I went screaming up and down the hallway because I was at a hotel at the time. And then he accepted my contract. So what it's like working with him, first of all, you have to choose somebody, and that's really stressful. And then you begin this relationship where it's like, okay, I think I'll give him my cell number and the text. And then he has questions about this sex scene. It's like, I think this is okay. Oh my gosh, he's reading my sex scene. Is this okay? And then to the next thing about, learning how to tweak certain things so they sound better. And now what it is like is I write for his voice. Because I really do. I mean, my writing has changed for his voice. So now I'm anticipating what he's doing. So it's been a progression.
I thought you were writing about me in that last book. It really sounded like my life story. I can't tell you what it's like for other author-narrator relationships, but I can tell you what this one is like, okay? It's like fantastic. And I have done books for other authors before that I haven't met, haven't spoken with, and have no relationship at all, and the work suffers when that happens. Sharon and I have a certain chemistry. We connect from the mind, from the heart, and from the soul. And she inspires me to be a better narrator, to be a better actor. And that's rare. That's really rare when that happens. I mean, I want to excel because she brings that out in me. And her stories, her writing, touch me deeply. And as Sharon had said earlier, I had never read romance. I read a few classics, years ago, but I thought maybe that a lot of the romance today maybe was just, too much fluff or gratuitous sex. Not true, okay? After I read Sharon's books, and first off, her SEAL franchise is so noble. I have so much respect and admiration for the Navy SEALs, what they do for this country, for the freedom that they've given us. And it's a dream come true. The boy gets the girl ultimately, the girl gets the boy ultimately. You see all these internal struggles they have, and as we all do in life. And then magic happens, and there's love, and there's that other thing, if we can say the sex word here, which is okay. This is it's a natural part of life, And what I love again about her writing is that the couple having sex, they're in love. They're in love. They're going to be together. That means something to me, and I'm a hopeful romantic. I'm a happy ending loving kind of guy, and that's what she writes, and we connect on so many levels that it's absolutely fantastic. Sometimes I'll be reading a chapter, and I'll text her and I'll say, "You're killing me with this scene. I've got to stop and take a break because it's touching me so deeply."
Or he'll tell me, "My wife is really thanking you for that chapter."
You know,
in fact, that's one of the first texts he wrote me. My wife is kind of liking me taking this job. I read it to her, and she's like, "We're having some fun, Sharon. I don't know if I should tell you this."
I was really afraid to tell her that to start with, but I felt like I needed to be honest. And I said, "Hey, your writing is a real aphrodisiac because it has really stimulated something in our marriage here that my wife's like, 'Come on, let me hear the next chapter.'"
So I was thrilled. I told him that's the best compliment that anybody could ever make. So anyway.
So that's our author-narrator relationship.
Great.
Okay.
That was great. That was great. So, Sharon, what information do you give to JD that what do you provide? What are you looking for other than obviously giving him the words?
Well, since JD's an actor and he's watched and studied film, it's really easy if I can give him an actor who has played a part that is similar to, maybe even looks like, or especially sounds like the character in my book. And then we'll give a short description about what he's about and what his needs are, or his phobias, or how he gets angry, what he sounds like when he's closed up, and same for the female lead, but it's probably more important for the male, because usually my stories are more male oriented. So, and then if we need more, there'll be clarification, especially with secondary characters. Sometimes they'll pop up and it's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about that Russian guy," and he's so versatile that he just, "Okay, Russian, great, I'll do it," and he does, so.
Yeah, thanks, Sharon.
Yeah, especially Cruisin' had, 26...
right, 26 different character
I think it
voices
was,
in that. That was fun and challenging.
And I had no idea until you started doing it. I went, "Oh my gosh, I guess I did have a lot of characters there."
Ukraine? I must do Ukraine?
Yes.
You must be kidding me.
And the Polish, the lady from Prague, and the captain from Italy.
Yes, and the alien from K-Pax, and it just went.
And the Moroccan dancer, yes, yeah.
So for JD, I think it might be one of our later questions, but how do you keep track of the voices if you have so many characters that you're supposed to portray? How do you keep track of them from book to book to book?
That's a great question. That's very important to keep notes. And also with my audio software, I'm able to put data markers. So when I come to a new character, I will mark that in my file. And if it's in the file 3 minutes and 22 seconds, I mark it there, and then I make a note. That's where the character was introduced. And so I can always refer back to that WAV file and go right to that data marker where the character voice is, because otherwise it would be very difficult. And I do have voices rattling in my head all night long while I'm trying to sleep, But to go back to that, because a character might appear in chapter 2 and then reappear in chapter 25, and a long time has passed, and you really have to go back to that point. But it's keeping a good set of notes and keeping it marked in your file so you can go right back to it in a matter of seconds.
We talked too about the hero's voice is usually the huskiest, sexiest voice. So he might have been a secondary character in another book, but for the book that he's reading, it'll always be the sexiest voice. May not be identical to the way it was said before, but that's done on purpose, because we want the reader to fall in love with that guy as much as I did when I was writing him.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So JD, how long does it take for you to narrate a book on average?
Well, it depends on the complexity. Like we mentioned, Cruisin' had 20, 26, 27, 8 different character voices. Usually, just as a general rule, probably 30,000 words a week. So a 10 to 12 hour book we complete in about 3 weeks, And you can pretty much figure for every finished hour, there's 6 hours of work that actually goes into it. The narrating, the editing, the proofing, the mastering. So it's about a 6-to-1 ratio.
Okay. So what is your process of narrating? Do you actually like read the book and then narrate, or are you reading it as you're narrating?
Well, I like to be surprised myself. I don't want to know the whole story in advance because I think as the narrator and a character in the book, it's not good to know how it ends. I do read ahead, and if I have the luxury of time, I may read the book in advance, but not typically. I'll read a few chapters ahead, make sure that Sharon and I are on the same page with the cadence of the story, with the feel of the story, the tone of the story, and then we get it going from there, and pretty much take it chapter by chapter.
Okay. And you did mention that you have your own like audio software stuff. We know that authors have writer caves, and we always want to know what does the author have in their writer cave. So do you have a narrator's cave, and what's in your narrator's cave?
Oh, you must have a cave to go into to get away from all the beeps and bleaks of the computers. Yes, I have. I took the smallest bedroom in the house and soundproofed it, and I keep it dark, and I have little statues of my favorite characters all over the walls. I have posters of Sharon's books, a picture of Sharon in my cave, but it's extremely private, and I must focus completely on my work, so there are no interruptions. When I go into that cave, the door closes, and when I come out, 2 hours or 3 hours to take a break, then I'll deal with emails, Facebook, text, and all that. But yes, I go into the cave to do the work.
Okay. So you mentioned your wife has benefited from your reading. Do you get we wanted to know, do you get the say it in his voice from people, or from your wife, maybe?
Yes, my wife is in love with Armando.
Yeah, he's the Puerto Rican seal.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then I tease her and I give her some Fredo. But yes, I do have people to ask to hear those voices, and
We sometimes he did that. We came from the one in Nashville, and there was a mother-daughter, Karen and her mother, who came to that. Really big fans, and we had JD record a little message to Karen's mother. It was her birthday, or she was I guess she was listening to the audiobook for the first time. She had met JD, had dinner with him, and then Karen said, you might want to go to bed listening. Can I? And so he left her a nice little message, and it's just really nice when he does that. He's really sweet that way. Now, don't tell people he has to do everybody's custom message, but that was a special occasion for a special fan. He's great about it.
You have a question? No. Okay. So, Sharon, once the book is like done, and I'm assuming you do edits and make sure that it runs smoothly, what is the do you re-listen to it to make sure that it is what you want?
Yes.
And then you fix it before it goes to public?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of every chapter I listen to carefully, and I watch the little marker, and I mark down little
she
things.
gives me a time code.
Yeah, so I'll say at 3.18, this was a little different, or this voice inflection, or sometimes it can be a foreign word, and we need to get that straight. And then sometimes, because he's Southern and I'm from California, so there's a difference in the way things are pronounced.
Can't you tell?
I actually like the way but since I'm not speaking or writing in a Southern tone, I will, ask to make the change. Those don't happen very often. There have been certain words that were challenging, and we've gotten over those. There was a certain word that it was hard for him to say, and so I gave him permission to just, whenever that word came up, to just change it to something else. And it wasn't like hundreds of them. You don't want to say the word.
No, I'm afraid I will say it incorrectly at this moment. So, anyway, but I have been better about that word, right?
You've been great. You've actually been saying it. The first time I heard it, I went, "Oh, he says it."
Sharon, so what's the word?
Groin. Groin.
Groin?
Groin.
And see, he says it nice,
Groin.
now, but
Yeah,
before it was
well,
groin.
Yeah, more of a grow,
Grow.
and that's that's part of my southern roots where I come from.
And it wasn't that he was embarrassed to
Is
say
it-
the word, because nothing embarrasses him that way. It was just he wasn't used to saying it.
Well, yeah, and he's not from the West Coast.
No.
Where we say it right.
We say it all the time. So he would substitute package, junk, what else? Shaft, what else? Manhood.
Manhood, yeah. There's lots of words you can use for
Yeah.
that,
And it was always,
tent in the pants.
and I would laugh. I'd go, like, oh, he substituted that one. It would just be fun. I'd hear it on my earphones, and I'd laugh, and we have fun that way.
Yeah, we do.
So, Sharon, what is your favorite thing about having your books in the audio format?
Well, it is a different product than the book. So the book, I'm just the writer. He's the storyteller. He tells the story, and it's a whole different thing. The listener has a whole different story by listening it through him than through me. So it's a whole different product, and I could not do what he has brought to my stories, and it's just a third, fourth, fifth dimension, and I find a lot of people say, gee, I read the book, I've listened to the audio, I can't tell you which one I like better, and then I know we've hit the mark.
Right. So, okay, JD, we're getting close to the end here. I have a couple freelance questions to ask.
Uh-oh.
Here it comes.
Sharon's books, which is your favorite that you have narrated?
I love them all.
Okay, you can't.
Yeah,
You have a
no,
million children. You have to pick one.
I do.
And it's in public that we're telling you.
All right. I do have a favorite. And in fact, it's the last one that I did, Seal My Home. And the reason for that is because I identify so much with Rory Kennedy, the hero of the story, who was raised in a foster home and never knew his father or his mother. In my case, I never knew my father. And, Rory is, he's okay with that. And he's like, I've come this far without my father. I don't need him now, And I was at a point like that in my life where I had to make that decision too. But our lives parallel each other so much, and there's that father-son moment in this story that particularly reaches out and grabs my heart. Kind of like Kevin Costner in Field of Dreams at the very end saying, Dad, do you want to have a pitch? So that's a very special moment for me. I mean, naturally the book has all of the great action and adventure and love scenes and all of the beautiful elements that are in every Sharon Hamilton novel. But this one in particular, since it's a father-son element, it really touched me deeply. Yeah.
So JD, what is the hardest part of narrating a story?
The hardest part of narrating a story. Well, I guess really it's making sure that I get the characters right. Okay. I mean, I've narrated 14 of Sharon's novels now. So I've got her heartbeat down. I've got her rhythm, her cadence. So now it's just a matter of really honing in on those characters, making them real, and bringing them to life, and to continue to try to find different voicing for different characters. That's really the toughest part,
He's hard on himself. See, he's not just reading a book, and that's what narrators do. They read a book. He doesn't do that. He has to get the character. And I don't know that a lot of people do that. So he's tough on himself. So that's why he says that's hard. Not that he finds difficulty. He works at it really hard. And that's what makes him special.
And I do want to say, before I narrated books, I did 30-second commercials. and voiceovers. And, you know, it's very easy to be good for 30 seconds. But when you have to be good for 10 hours, okay? I mean, that's the thing is I'll get to a point and I'll stop and I'll go, wait a minute, I need to take a break here because I don't want anybody to ever think I'm reading. I want to be engaging and compelling. I want the listener to be living the story with me. So I may have to stop and take a break and then take a breath and then get back involved and engaged and so that it comes through in my voice. Because like I said, it's not being good for 30 seconds, it's working at being good for 10 hours.
So, I'll end it with one more question, and because it's audio book loving series, and June is audiobook month, and that's why
Yes.
we're doing this. Why should people pick up your book? Why should they try an audiobook?
Well,
we should
first
say?
of all, it's lovely to have this gentleman whisper in your ear. I just from a pure.
Oh, that's a good reason. Okay, go buy
And
the
I'm not
book,
going to
people.
I'm not going to tell you what he said. No, but it's just a different way to experience the story. It's like you look at the story in the mirror, and then you go behind the mirror, and you see something else. It's the same story, but it's like you're seeing it from a different side. And I think if you love a story, listening to it in an audiobook, well done, well performed, is just a fantastic experience.
Anything that you want to add?
I look at every Sharon Hamilton novel as a feature film script, and I get to be the lead actor, the entire cast, and part of the director, and it's an actor's dream come true. And working with Sharon is the greatest, well, it's the zenith of my life. I absolutely love it.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, on behalf of me and Viv, we are very, very pleased that we got to be able to sit down and do this with you.
Thank you.
And I hope everybody that watches this enjoys and buy her book.
Yes.
Buy our
yes.
book and listen as well.
Buy the audio, try it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, Viv.